Hello, everyone. I'm Monica, the Creative Beast, and I want to say thank you for tuning into my channel today. I am sharing one of the little art books that I've made. I've been making quite a few art books ever since I learned about art journals and art books. And I learned a lot about art journals and art books when attending the Artful Journey art retreat that was held up in Santa Cruz. And I got to learn and work with some really amazing artists. And this little art book is a sort of watered down version of something I learned from the artist DJ Pettit, who makes mixed media art books that are really, really beautiful and lovely to look at. And I will share a link to the video of the original art book I made with the help of DJ's workshop. But this is a smaller version that I created later on after learning from DJ. So here is the small book, and we'll just focus in on it here. So this book is a little bit different in that I use all fabric for the cover, which is not how I made my book with DJ. I used canvas covers for that book, but some of the elements are still the same. So I used fabric and fabric scraps, button spine. The button spine is the same, but I think I sewed this one a little differently than the original book. And I'll show you the back after we flip on through. So I left lots of raw edges of the fabrics here, and this keeps flipping up a little bit, but this is some rubber stamping on a scrap of muslin. There's vintage lace, tea-dyed muslin, vintage eyelet fabrics, satiny fabrics, and then I would fringe everything. And I used a kind of interfacing that is a kind of thick, and you can sew through it, and it makes a nice thickness, so it makes for a nice cover of the book. The inside is a nice hemp lining, and because the interfacing is iron-on both sides, I could iron the cover and the inner lining, and I did some freeform stitching all over this piece before it got glued in, and I stitched the outer cover to the interfacing pellon before I iron fused everything together. So it was a fusible, and it was a double-sided fusible. Now, the pages of this book are vintage watercolor paper. My grandmother had lots of watercolor paper when we were going through her things after she passed away. And this is a really nice texture that I don't see very often in watercolor paper. So it's a cold press because of the texture, but I really like it. So one day I'll play in this little book, but for now, just making the book was fun and play in itself. And I really like the red thread concept, contrast. And I'll share a little link because there's a story about red thread that has inspired me. So I like to use red thread a lot. I played with stitches on my sewing machine. The way this signature works is they are individual sheets of paper that are sewn together to create a folio that is then folded over all the others. So there's some more of the hemp. Here's some really nice lace, different stitches. And this is how the book works, essentially. Tea-dyed muslin, some lace. And every side of every folded folio has a different stitch. And I left the edges of the thread free to make for some more textural details in the book. Some more satin, more lace, some fun zigzag stitches, fine linen, satin, tea-dyed satin. This is one of my favorite stitches on my machine. Here's the center, a piece of vintage lace that is stitched to these two pieces, and this is where the signature is sewn into the spine. I'll show more of that in a minute. More stitching, more loose threads. There we go, let's get those out of the book. You can see every join of every sheet has a different stitch happening, so it makes for some really fun visual interest in the book. And I really love visual textures and patterns. So you'll see a lot of that come out in my books a lot, one way or another. And in my artwork, my collage and mixed media. And the final page, I decided I'd date it. So I made this book quite some time ago. More free-form stitching, just like the front. It's a 3-petal plant of some kind. 7-petal flower-like. Some interesting little leaves. And here's the back. Vintage trims, lace, bits of linen, rayon, hem tape. And this is how the signature is sewn into the spine with buttons. And they're stitched in, so this signature is not going anywhere. So this is a little art book of vintage scraps, fabric, vintage watercolor paper. I've made a few more that will probably go into my Etsy shop soon. I might make something like this again soon, so stay tuned to see what that looks like. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my little art book. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much, and feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll get news when I post another video of an art book or an art journal or some other project, or when I have a creative chat to share. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you next time.